yourself.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Hope you all are enjoying yourselves. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? And how are you doing? And I can see that my camera needs a little cleaning off because the picture's not quite so clear, but that's okay because we're going to do this show anyway because we come prepared. That's what we do. We stay ready. Get ready to stay ready. That's what the old shit. That's what the old that old saying used to say. I can't remember what it was I was trying to come up with because I was trying to do a bit and be philosophical sounding at the same time. So anyway, hope you guys are doing well. Coming to you live from Zagnif Central. This is your boy, Mr. FIngaz, all the way from the heart of Oklahoma City. And that fella over there, that guy right there, that dude right there, that dude right there, that one sitting right there next to me. To my left, your right, or whatever direction it is. If you happen to be amphibious and you use both hands, and then you could do it from either direction. He is the brother from another, the sexy mother Hubbard, the ace of base, in the place, in your face. Halftime is my favorite part of the game. I've just been placed in charge of garbage, and it has already been emptied, but I will come and dispose it again when it is full. Collin P from the DMV on the INTERNET with me talking UGA, who happens to be in what conference? The SEC. And what letter does that end with? A E. And that's where I stop. Okay, how y'all do? How you doing, bro?
Man, I am doing good. Those are bars, by the way. So, yeah, dude, I'm doing fantastic. Awesome weekend of college football. Great games. Great weekend. You know, working a little bit. I mean, greatest thing ever to be able to work from home and kind of peek in every now and then on the games. You know, but yeah, pretty good weekend. How about yourself, man?
Oh man. Well, you know how we do. I watched games. I cooked. I cleaned. I worked out a little bit. Sunday, I watched games. I cleaned up. I cooked a little bit. Then sat down and watched.
You're doing way too much. Do less.
Right. Watched that Bills Chiefs game yesterday. Wow. Wife wasn't too happy with the outcome of the Cowboys game, but they'll talk about that. They'll talk about that next time Let's Talk Football is on.
Right. You got to give props to our Falcons, though, baby.
Yeah, and of course the Falcons did the doggone thing. They don't know nothing about that. You do the Dion. Oh, anyway, either way, it's two ways to do that dance, and I can't show you either one of them because you can only see me from the chest up. So it's okay. So the Dirty Birds did their thing, and then we watched House of the Dragon when all was said and done, and then we crashed out, and I got up and I went to work. I love my job, but boy, work wore me out today. Work wore me out today more than working out yesterday.
Sometimes it happens that way, man. It's just once I get going, you know, the struggle with me is just get up, get moving. You know what I'm saying? Once I get moving, I'm fine. But, you know, it's just the initial rollover, and honestly, it's gonna sound bad, but the walking down the stairs to the basement. You know, I know it sounds rough, first world problems type of stuff. But
quit with me,
you know,
bro. Quit with me, really.
You know,
quit with me for real, because you know your boy is back in the office. I'm in the office Monday through Friday, every day.
Yeah.
So I got to get up. I got to get dressed. I got to get up. I got to get dressed, and then I got to head into the office. And then when the day is done, I got to head back to the crib. Like I get home, I'm on business casual. I got to do Clark Kent Superman. Speaking of big dog says to say what's up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's at a ball game with his kid right now. His kids, the baby's like a multi-sport athlete now. So
would you make anything less? I mean, like really, come on, man.
I'm not surprised at all. folks, when you're talking
Yeah.
about the apple not falling far from the tree, this is the equivalent of the apple just basically rolling down the trunk and just going, I'm just going to hang out right here by the root. And that's right. I said root. That's right.
Root.
So that's not, y'all listen, folks didn't come here to see us jack our jaws about our weekends and talk about our friends and their kids that play multiple
Very
sports
true.
and all that kind of stuff. They came to see us talk about who? The DAWGS. That's right. They came to talk
That's
about
right.
those dogs, them junkyard dogs. And guess what the dogs did? The dogs played Vandy, and there it
We
is.
got another
We did
blank.
that.
We got another blank.
They got another blank. Blanked them 55-0. Nothing. This was not unexpected. You know, you can't help who you
Well,
play.
I mean, honestly, think about it. You can't really say that after our past couple games. I mean, probably knew we were going to win it, but I mean, we look. I mean, we'll get into that obviously, but I mean, it looked a lot better. I mean, obviously it was Vandy, but I don't know what happened. But it was like we might have turned the corner. You know, it remains to be seen, but we'll see.
Yeah, but like I said,
I like what I said.
you can't help who you play. But when you play a team like this, you're supposed to show up and smack them around and run them off the field, and that's exactly what they did. They held Vanderbilt to like just under 150 yards of offense in 4 quarters. They only got 10 first downs the entire game. I'm actually surprised they got that many, just the way they were shutting it down. Because it was every 3 and out, 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 3 and out. That's all we saw. You know, the boys looked good. One thing I'm still concerned about, and we'll talk, and well, I guess I'll say that for later. But one thing I'm still concerned about is I'm not seeing as much of Brock Bowers, and Brock was the bread and butter of the offense. But then too, we did say we gotta balance it out because we gotta balance it out. And now you know the running attack is out. So what you got, man? What did you think about yesterday?
Well, I mean, you just said that. So I mean, we're actually making Big O part of the scheme now too. So he's getting a lot more touches than he did last year. You know, he's getting more targets, and so he, you know, we're getting Brock when he's open and what have you. But Big O's been getting a lot more targets and a lot of catches. I mean, like, you know, you saw that catch he had on the sideline, that one-handed grab. It was a little bit overthrown, but honestly, it kind of looked like it was thrown where it needed to be, kind of situation. But he was tall enough, you know, to just, you know, kind of like a Gronkowski type of thing. You throw it up there, you get it, you know, you're gonna grab it. But I think that's a tribute to Bowers decreasing in his touches is making a big part of the offense as well. So
yeah, I mean, you can't. There's a wealth of why. Something just happened. I hope we're still on the stream. For those of you that just joined us,
looks like we're still going.
we appreciate you. Huh?
I think thinks we're still going. So go ahead.
Yeah, we blinked. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. Yep, I'm looking. We're still there. We don't know what happened. That was very strange. For some reason, we blinked out for a second, but we're back. Yeah, remix. So we're talking about the Dogs. They played Vandy this past weekend. It was homecoming weekend. It was really great to see as much effort put out by the team as a whole. Something that happened that we hadn't seen a lot of. Guess what happened this weekend? The mailman, they said he hadn't thrown touchdowns in forever. Well, he threw 2. He had a very solid performance. So what were your thoughts?
Yeah, he had it. I'm sorry, he had
no,
like
I know. I said I was gonna hand this to you because you are out of the two of us. We both love the kid, but you are his most vocal supporter out of the two of us on the show. So I'm gonna let you tell us about.
No, very true. I'm a supporter, yeah, but I don't think he deserve most of the crap he gets. But what I'm saying is, like, he was 18-20 in the first half, and like I was talking to you before, you know, the show, that it looked like he had a lot of zip on the ball. You know, he had a couple of I guess you would call them miscues, like floaters and what have you. But the majority of those 20 passes he had, I mean, that shoulder's fine. Like they were saying that he had his shoulder was aching him or hindering him a little bit after he slammed in the Missouri game. But he had some zip on. He was winding up, and majority of his passes were hitting the mark. He had a lot of touch passes that made it, and But he looked good. I mean, like I said, I was happy to see Eric, Gilbert, and that, him getting in there. That warmed my heart. And it just looked like overall performance was pretty good. And he had 298
absolutely,
yards.
100%. Yeah. He was what, 18 or 20 in the first half?
Yeah, and then he was 14 of I can't remember what the total was, but he had 14 completions in the second half.
I had it pulled up, and then it decided to. I think when we blinked, everything else decided to blink with it. And so it's not pulling up right now. So let's try something else. Oh, there it is. There it is, right there. We can use the Google stats if Google pulls up. There we go.
Google is your friend.
Yes, Google is always our friend. I don't know what's going on with the 4-letter, but their page is not working right now. Oh boy, chili for dinner, huh? He finished the game on 24 for 30 at 289 yards and 2 touchdowns. But here's something else you want to think about. For as good as he was, of course, they pulled him, and then they put in the heir apparent to the quarterback kingdom, Mr. Carson Beck. Carson Beck went 8 for 11 for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, if you take that and you bump that up and equal that out to the same amount of attempts, that means that Carson would have thrown for about 300 yards and possibly 6 touchdowns. However, I'm going to pull back on that. I'm going to pull back and calm down because there was a lot. It wasn't just the passing game that was on fire. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the passing game that was on fire. Like you said, there were a lot of old faces that returned, and I'm going to, we saw Eric Gilbert out there. Eric Gilbert caught 2 passes, caught a touchdown. Dominic Blaylock, that's the one that I was happy to see. For those of you
that are unfamiliar,
Dominic Blaylock was a freshman in 2019, right along with Pickens. Yeah, right along with Pickens. He had 2 knee injuries, and he stayed pretty much sidelined, and he's been working his way up to getting back on the field, and this was his first appearance back on the field since his freshman year in 2019, y'all. 2 catches, 35 yards. He got himself a – I started to use that word that somebody said they need to be slapped, but I'm going to say it. He got himself a tutty. Come at me. Come at me, bro. Come at me,
bro.
Got himself a touchdown. Dylan Bell got himself a touchdown, 5 catches for 54 yards. And then on the run, but it wasn't just that. The ball was being spread all the way around. Dejan Edwards got a touch. Kenny McIntosh got a rushing touchdown. Cash Jones got a rushing touchdown.
Jones. Yeah, he had one carry for 36 yards and had a score. He ran up that middle. He just shot up the middle, and there he was gone. That boy was out of there.
Say my name. Say who? Cash Jones.
Cash Jones.
Cash Jones got himself a touchdown. A lot of scoring going on all the way around. Georgia, just an incredible display. Now, granted, you can say what you want to say. Yes, they were playing against. They played against Vanderbilt. They did not punt until the 4th quarter. And for all of now check this out. For all of the scoring that they did, there was only 8 penalties between the 2 games, so it was a very disciplined game between both teams. What did you think when you saw Blaylock go running out there, man?
Man, I'm just telling you, it warmed my heart. Same thing with Eric, man. I was just like, get these people in, and to be honest with you, main thing is it looked like they were having fun again. You could actually tell that everybody was running around, they were doing their part, they were playing their heart out, and they looked like they were having fun. And and seeing names we haven't heard in a while, it was great. And that just proves, that just proves that you do your job, you get playing time. That's what it says in my mind, right? You play well and perform well in practice and do your thing. Kirby's gonna throw you out there. But now would this happen if we weren't, dominating? Maybe not. But it actually helped. Actually, the situation provided them to get their time. And you could tell they enjoyed every minute.
Well, I think Kirby's really good about getting the guys out there, dominate or not. Sometimes you just need to last season Brock and Lab McConkey were getting run crazy, and he put somebody else, and then AD Mitchell come out there and make a couple catches and things of that nature.
And McConkey had a solid game. He kind of came back and he had a better game than he had the past couple. He kind of had the yips or something. He couldn't catch
not a whole not a whole lot of impressive stats, but he had a solid game, and I think mistake free.
I think so too. He had 4 receptions for 49 yards, is what it's telling me here. So, and as long as it was 21 yards. So, and I don't think he had, if memory serves, I don't know if he had any drop passes. I don't think he did. But
yeah, which is a huge improvement over the weeks prior to the week. Yeah,
sometimes it's hard to get the shank, like play golf, get the shanks. I mean, sometimes it's hard to shake them. So I mean, good for him to have a good game to kind of knock that dust off.
Yeah, 100%. Well, listen, we're gonna, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that have just joined us, we appreciate you tuning in to This Week in UGA Football. Mr. FIngaz here, Collin P from the DMV over there. If you are watching and you like what you see, please give us a like. Please give us a share. If you are watching on the YouTube or the tweeters, actually, we're not live on the Twitter this evening. We're just live on Facebook and YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and check us out. Come on over to our Facebook group, This Week in SEC Football, which hasn't really been that active as of late, which is kind of sad given the fact that we're smack dab in the middle of SEC football season. But we'll have to do something about that in just a bit. But before we go another further, we want to go ahead and pay homage, as it were, to our sponsor, Squid Ribs Cards, and our guy, Sydney Swinton. You guys hang tight. We will be right back. That is our guy, Sydney Swinton. Squid Ribs Cards, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. He's live on there multiple times a week, just like you saw. Get at him today. That is his tag right there. If you love football cards, he's got you covered. That's our guy. For those of you that are just joining us right now, coming back out of commercial break, we were talking about this week's game. Georgia versus Vanderbilt with a dominating 55-0 win at home, homecoming in front of a very appreciative crowd. Talked about some things with the mailman. We talked about Carson Beck. We had some familiar faces come back. I really would like to see more out of Eric Gilbert. I'm not dogging the fellas in the midst of a win. We don't know what's going on with Eric Gilbert. I am just glad that coaches believing in him enough to keep him on the squad and just kind of keep trying to urge and encourage him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think did you foresee him getting any kind of a bigger role on the team as the season progresses? I know we're past the halfway mark now, so we got 5.
It depends on what's going on with him. I mean, we don't know. Obviously, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it is reassuring that he was on the field, and evidently he had either a conversation or had relationships with the coaches or whatever. So everything seems to be good if he was on the field, right? So hopefully everything stays the same, and hopefully everything continues to get better for him, and it looked like he was having fun. He was doing well. So hopefully that continues.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I'm starting to see that I'm really liking is that every year there seems to be a standout. And this year, last year it was Brock, and then Brock with a little bit of AD, with a little bit of Lab McConkey thrown in. This year it is Big O, Darnell Washington. This boy is like 6 foot 12, foot 18, and weighs like 1,800 pounds, and he runs like a 4.3. He's steady trying to hurdle guys, and he doesn't look like he's moving that fast, but he's a giant tight end with wide receiver hands, and he's getting the job done. What are you thinking about this guy so far? You think, as far as his contributions to the team so far this season, and especially this past Saturday?
Oh, it's great because I think everybody has been said on TV, having two dominant tight ends is awesome for an offense, right? So if you happen to sleep on Brock, you got Brock on that side, and you spend too much time or attention on Big O, then he's going to be open, and vice versa. So if you have two premier tight ends that you got to watch out for, potentially it could become a problem for the other team. But I see him playing with more fire since he's getting the targets and getting balls thrown at him. But you kind of have to think about how Brock was such a big part of the team last year. And do you think? I'm asking you this question. Do you think he feels? I guess I would say some type of way about him not getting as many targets or touches. I mean, I know it's a team game. I know he probably doesn't feel.
How do I think? I don't know. I'm wondering if I wonder if he might be 100%. I noticed he's been wearing that shoulder, that harness on his shoulder. So I don't know.
Well, he took a head, like he rolled somebody over in the Vanderbilt game. I was kind of concerned that I hope he didn't hurt himself or if he had that going on, beforehand. But I'm sorry.
Well, it seems to me that Kirby's really good about keeping things close to his vest. Like he doesn't feel the need to come out and say, unless it's something that's obvious, like a guy that's not playing. But like if you got a guy that might be moving a little slow, or his rotations have diminished, then coach doesn't really have a whole lot to say about it. He doesn't give the media a lot to go on. So it makes me wonder. And then again, who knows? Maybe Big O's putting in harder work. Maybe Brock came back and thought it was going to be all his because he was the stud last year, and Big O was like, "Hey man, I've been trying to get out here. Let me go ahead and show y'all what I can do."
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you see a little more fire, you more pep in his step too, right? I mean, like you can see him.
Yeah.
Not that it wasn't there before, but I mean, it looked like since he's been getting the more involved, in the offense. You see like that catch, everything that's within his grasp, he's bringing it down. Not that he hasn't before, but he's moving, like he's bowling people over and that kind of stuff. I wouldn't want to get in front of him, to be honest. I would be like, all right, go ahead on, be like the flag. Ole. No,
I'm just gonna tell you, man, if you're out on that field and that guy is bearing down on you, you're gonna have to say a little prayer before you square up. I don't care how much of a man you are. I don't care how much of a man you are. You get a guy that big with a full head of steam moving in your direction, and he is locked in on you.
If you go to dive, you pray and he jumps over you.
Dude, I don't hit dude, I don't know about you, but I might fill up my compression shorts. But it happened. I had to do the Lamar Jackson and run to the locker room real quick, do the duck walk to the locker room. Of course, I would be a viral TikTok. They'd laugh at me. They'd be like, "That's all right, though. I didn't get hurt."
Yeah. But that's somebody. I mean, there's quite a few guys that I wouldn't want to get in front of. I mean, when you dive, you'd have to close your eyes, just like you said, take a prayer. But yeah, I mean, like honestly though, I think it's great to have like two premier tight ends on an offense, even within included on plays. That's just something that could potentially be detrimental to another team.
Yeah, especially if you got them both lined up on the same side.
Yeah,
and
I think we both were screaming Big O last year, right? I mean, we were trying. We were saying, "Where's he at?
Yeah,
we finally saw him in that championship game. So.
Dude, could you see that? Both of them lined up, twins left, and Big O goes out to set the block, and it's a screen pass to Brock, and Big O come
It'd be like the water boy, knocking people up.
Oh my God! It's absolutely. I mean, these dudes. It's freakish. That's the term that people like to use when you see somebody that large that has the athleticism of someone.
But see, that begs the question though. You got guys like that. You got guys like that, and I think that's what people's like. What they were wondering is like, we've got that type of, talent on the team. Why aren't we using it? Like, it's just the questions. But I mean, like you said, Kirby, keep it to the vest. It'll come out when it needs to come out, I guess. So,
but here's the thing, though. How do you, when you have that many talented people on one squad, how do you spread that love around? Especially if you've got something that's working. Yeah. Just like he had all the quarterbacks in the world. He had a wealth of quarterbacks. He had Jacob Eason, who hadn't transferred yet. He had Fromm. He had Justin Fields. He's like, I got to go with the guy that got me to the championship. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have that. So then Justin was like, "Yeah, I'm not playing, so I'm transferring."
Well, it's
And
almost a bad thing to have so many 5 stars and 4 stars, great athletes on the team. I mean, it's awesome on paper, but I mean, some of those guys aren't going to get playing time, unfortunately. That's why they leave.
yeah, well,
But,
if you're going to a program like a Georgia, if you're going to a program like a Georgia, and it amazes me how many kids still go to Georgia knowing good and well that they're probably middle of the pack, but they've let their
yeah,
people hype them up for that long. Like, nah, man, you the man. You gonna go up there. You gonna take over Athens. The next thing you
yeah.
know, you be like, bro, you at Buck Tussle State for real though? It was accepted transfers. I can start right away. I'm gonna make my way back up. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
the next step. I'm gonna be the next Stetson Bennett.
Remember what I said about Dwan? Dwan's at he actually converted from quarterback to wide receiver.
Is he still at
Dwan
Temple?
Mathis. Yeah, he's still at Temple, but he converted from quarterback. He's no longer playing quarterback. He's a wide receiver now.
Well, what does that tell you? Like seriously, if everybody's
Exactly.
telling you, if everybody's telling you maybe you need to look into something else, and you have allowed yourself to hype yourself up to the point where you believe that you're a quarterback, I'm glad he decided to look at something else because he was about to get Tate Martell. You see, old boy Felipe Franks is playing receiver in Atlanta.
No, I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Is he
he got a
really?
couple. Last week he got a couple of touches. Last week he got 2 or 3 touches. Last week he was out
Oh
there
man, I
catching
need to come
passes.
over. Wow.
Felipe Franks,
Well,
former quarterback of where was he? Was he at Tennessee or
Florida.
Florida? He was at
He was
Florida.
Florida. Yeah.
Former starting quarterback of the Florida Gators under the Dan Mullen dynasty. I use that word dynasty very lightly.
Dynasty.
Oh man. So
Yeah, I didn't know that.
man, so we're gonna talk a little bit about those of you just joining us. Welcome to this weekend UGA football. Mr. Fingers here, Collin P. Over there, that distinguished gentleman there to my left, your right. Um, we're going to talk about a few different things. We talked a lot around the game and things like that, but let's break it down. So let's do like that old Western. Let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. First, we're going to start with the good. And I'll let you give me what you got first.
Well, I think we kind of covered it on the little bit of the talk we just did. I mean, like I said, it looked like I'm not going to say we turned the corner, but at the same point, it looked like the boys were having fun. Stetson had a little pepper on his passes, and he was zipping it in there. And then we got to see faces, like we haven't seen in a while, and Eric Gilbert, and you got Blaylock, and our running game. Edwards showed his behind. He was running with force, he's running people over, and then you had. McIntosh actually played a pretty good game. He had 9 rushes for 43 yards and a touchdown. And Branson Robinson even played. You had 8 carries for 31 yards or 34 yards, let's say. But the good, basically, like I said, I don't know if we turned the corner, but it looked like we're starting to kind of look like our former selves. I mean, haven't seen us play. We're not seeing how we played the past couple of games. Now, will that continue? I don't know. I hope it does. But we've got the meat coming. We've got Florida, Tennessee. After what Tennessee did, this weekend. That's definitely somebody. If we were sleepwalking, we got to wake up. We can't.
For
We
sure.
can't do that.
For sure,
So,
sir. For sure. I am right on with you there. I like to see here's my thing. I sometimes like to come from the opposite side of the fence. They're having fun playing against a Vanderbilt team that no one expected to win. A much improved Vanderbilt team that still didn't stand
sure.
a chance by the odds makers, didn't stand a
Yeah.
chance, and we saw why on Saturday.
Uh,
And we've seen how they played in adversity in Missouri and how they played against Kent State. But Kent State was never really a threat. They just let Kent State score a lot of points.
yeah.
The kicker for me is what's going to happen. Well, you know what? I'll hold that. We'll talk about the good. Definitely like what I saw to Stetson. Definitely like what I saw to Carson Beck. Man, I'm kind
Oh yeah.
of stoked to see. I got a feeling there's going to be a very fierce quarterback competition because all we hear from camp is Gunner, and how great he is. But we already seen how great Carson is on the field. So,
He's much improved. Yes, sir.
definitely with you on the running game. I was going to say this: we need more Dejon Edwards. Dejon is out there doing the thing, and I think they're trying to push the rock to him. They're definitely trying to push it to him. Branson Robinson's getting more carries. This receiving core, dude, 2, 4, 6, 8, 11 people passed the ball around, 11 people. Of those 11 people, 4 of them caught touchdowns. So that's the kind of stuff that we need. Now, is it kind of like shooting fish in a barrel? A little bit. Are you supposed to do that though when you're playing a team like this? 100%. Those are the good things that I saw. Now, having given a good, and then only that, also moving the ball to the point where you only have to 1 punt the entire game. So moving from the good, you can't talk about the good without talking about the bad. There's still some folks out there that look like they're not sure what their assignment is, and I'm not sure why coach keeps trotting them back out there, if he's expecting it to click or what's going on. But like those,
you talking about secondary?
It varies from series to series because you'll have that's the thing. One series you'll see the secondary shut everything down. The next series you see the secondary give up a 10-yard pass, but then the front 7 will shut everything down. So I don't know. That's the thing I need is definitely more consistency on both sides of the ball. Both sides of the ball. And that's what I got on that. What about you?
No, I can agree with that totally. I mean, you can attribute that to the defense, not having, I mean, that if you want to, that right there is actually indicative of the 15 guys we lost, right? So, we have some youngins that are there on defense, and maybe they're still, we always said it would take a little while for the defense to kind of get to gel together, get the cohesiveness that they need to get. And whether it be them young and not getting their assignments, not knowing what they're going to do. That's when you need somebody like a Kobe Dean or somebody like that to step up and be a leader and be like, yo, this is what you need to do. And Kobe Dean and those guys he was grabbing jerseys and saying, no, you over here. I know where you're supposed to. He knew everybody's position. So he was out there, grabbing jerseys and putting people where they need to be. So to your point, I haven't seen that type of leadership. Have you? Like, I haven't seen that kind of stuff on the field yet.
No, pretty much the closest thing we had to that is Jalen Carter, and Jalen Carter's still out.
He's been hurt.
Kendall Milton is still out. AD Mitchell is still out. That's another thing that I wanted to talk about as far as the bad. We got some beat up key players that we're going to need back, or we're going to need somebody to step up and replace. Yeah. So those are.
Look at Nolan Smith only had 1 tackle.
Nolan Smith is basically logging 1 tackle a game, 1 or 2 tackles per game.
It was 1 tackle, 1 solo tackle, and it was a sack.
I'm not trying to dog him. him. You see what I did there? Because he's a dog, and I will love my dogs, and I will roll with them till the wheels fall off, and then I'll sit on the side of the road with them till they get the wheels put back on. But Nolan Smith, to me, has been a disappointment based against how he was advertised. Yeah. I mean, he was going to be the next coming of the defense. He was going to be the next prototype of a defensive lineman if you believed what was being said. And knowing the school that he went to before he got picked up to go to IMG Academy, that was not hard because the level of competition in that conference, this wasn't the public school conference. This was the private school conference. Level of competition was not. There was no level of competition. It was nothing like the public schools. Yeah, nothing at all. Now we're going to move on to the next segment. We can't do the good and the bad without do-wee-wee-oo. Wah, wah, wah. That's all you get because we don't have the rights. We don't have the rights to that song, and we don't know how to go about getting it cleared. We don't have the money for it. So we can't talk about the good and the bad without talking about the ugly. The ugly thing that we got, man, the rest of this schedule is no joke by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, you got Florida, who is wildly inconsistent, but is still prone to put up 400 yards of offense, 400 to 500 yards of offense on you. They're one of the few teams I know put 400 or 500 yards worth of offense on you and still only score like 13 points.
Yeah, I still lose.
Right. But that's something that we can't afford because, again, a broken clock is twice a day. And we don't want 2 weeks from now, because we have a bye this week, we don't want 2 weeks from now to be the week that the clock is right, when they start hitting on all cylinders, when AR is throwing the ball all over the place and just hoping somebody catches it. So we got Florida. Then after that, we got some team from Knoxville that just happened to knock off the annual SEC West champion in Alabama, the Tennessee Volunteers. I'm going to tell you, bro. We said at the beginning of the year, Kentucky, Tennessee, possibly in the East, and maybe Florida.
Right.
Florida is but Kentucky we haven't played yet. But Tennessee has been as advertised straight out the gate, and that is not a team we can afford to take a stumble or get a slow start with, because we're just going to be chasing our own tails.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. I mean, if we do get behind, I mean, that's kind of like a Missouri thing. If we do get behind, we got to keep it within reach. And because we got to get out of reach, there ain't no way. I mean, honestly, I don't think we'd have the team or the offense to come back, if there's more than 2 scores or maybe 10 points. I mean, more than that, 10 points, 14 points. We can't afford to spot any team that way, regardless of who they are, be it Florida, Tennessee, or Kentucky. But I like I said before, if we sleepwalking, I mean, hopefully we, kind of woke up this week. I mean, even though it was Vanderbilt, we can't. I mean, like you said before, though, I think this week off, and then Florida's a trap game. So I mean, it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's just you kind of got to wonder if Tennessee's going to have a hangover from that hard fought win against Alabama. I don't know. Who do they have? Who do they have next week? Who does Tennessee have next week?
I don't know. I think they may have a bye also. I don't know. I have no idea who they have up next. But because my philosophy was we kind of want them to win. Although there's still 3 weeks before this game, because we have a bye this week. We got Florida next week. We got Tennessee in 2 weeks. So, but if they had lost that game, I think they come out with a lot more fire, because they're still trying to, hey, look, we still need to win out. And they're definitely playing like they have a point to prove this year.
No, they got UT Martin. I mean, they got a cupcake there next week. So the 22nd, that's next week, right? Or this weekend? 22nd is the weekend.
Yeah. It's probably their homecoming.
Yeah, I think so, right? Yep.
Yeah, more than likely.
And then they got Kentucky, and then they got us. So they got Kentucky before. So
so they get Kentucky the week before we do. And then we got Kentucky after that. And I'm sorry, not Kentucky. We have Mississippi State. And that's Will Rogers. And you're gonna have to. You're talking about it. You're talking about a kid that's still, I think, a top 5 passers in the league in terms of yardage. Of course, you're talking about that air raid offense. So nothing you can do about that. But they're gonna be slinging the ball all over the place. And then after that, we have Kentucky. So that's the ugly part. And we got to come out of that. We got to come out of that 4-0. I don't even think we can go in there and go 3-1. I think we have to go out and go 4-0. The only way we can go 3-1 is if we lose to Tennessee, and Tennessee already beat Bama, so it would be a quality loss. I hate using the quality loss as the term, but that's something they talk about now. So what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I agree totally. I'm just saying, I don't. If I were to say we would lose to somebody, whoever we got left, I mean, I would think it would be Tennessee. I wouldn't think it would be a Kentucky. I mean, it all boils down to if we could. I mean, if what we saw. Like I said, I said that you got to preface it by it was Vanderbilt. If this sign of things to come, if the boys finally started, playing. We talk about blown assignments, that kind of stuff. I mean, that stuff's going to happen if we can kind of reduce those down, and hopefully they just turn the corner, and hopefully we can keep it going and maybe get better. Like you said though, we can't lay down. So we got to keep playing. And if it helps us to play these different type of people, maybe it does. Maybe we, subbing these guys in, have these, like Edwards and obviously Robinson, and maybe throw Cash in there. Throw players in there to kind of mix it up a little bit, provided they're doing their job and so and know this.
100%, my friend. I'm 100% in agreement, ladies and gentlemen.
Man? We ain't seen that. We ain't seen no playing well.
We haven't seen what?
Fake field goal. You said it was a fake
field goal. The fake field. Oh, the fake field goal. Oh man, I think we hit on that the last time we ran it. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there, Collin P from the DMV, right here on the internets with me on This Week in UGA Football. If you're just joining, thank you so much. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share. Tell your friends to tell your friends to tell your friends to come and check us out. This is season 2, episode 31. talking Georgia versus Vanderbilt. We're going to go into a message from not necessarily our sponsors, but this is the parent group that encompasses all of the podcasts that you see. That's This Week in Georgia Football, the Big Nate Sports Radio, Let's Talk Football, Washington Football Weekly, etc. This is the umbrella. So check it out so you can see where you can catch a show somewhere today. We'll be right back. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is where you can find each and every one of the shows that fall up under the Let's Talk Football family of shows. One every day, somewhere near you. Go ahead and check them out. Make sure you swing on over and join the Let's Talk Football group on Facebook. And all of the videos are broadcast on Facebook under Let's Talk Football. So that's where you can find each and every one of them. And the podcasts are available anywhere you can get audio podcasts. So coming back to this, we were talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly, what we can expect. The good, the bad, and the ugly, what we saw good from this week, what we saw bad from this week, and the ugly. And definitely the ugly, that schedule is not. That schedule, there is no wiggle room on the back end of our schedule. Florida, who could beat you. Tennessee, who definitely can beat you. Mississippi State, who could beat you. And Kentucky, who could beat you. All four of those teams have a good to better chance of upsetting the repeat run.
Regardless of the record. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. How are you feeling about what our schedule's looking like, especially after what you saw this past weekend?
Oh man, again, and Florida's going to be what it always is. It's going to be the world's largest cocktail party. It's going to be one of them things. I ain't gonna say how the fans are. How drunk people get, but I mean, it's always a show and it's always a battle. And it just remains to be seen. Like you said, it's SEC, man. What can you say? Any given Saturday is just. Regardless of, like I was just going to say before, like regardless of record, regardless of what we've seen before, I mean, a lot of these games, I mean, honestly, haven't been blowouts really. I mean, like they might have looked like it on the scoreboard, but I mean, they've been battles. And, like you said, Florida, Tennessee's riding high right now. So, I mean, look, I'm happy we got 2 weeks before we play them. I mean, I wouldn't want to play them next week or this weekend.
Right. I'm riding high off that momentum. That's for sure. And mad that they got to pay for a goalpost.
Yeah. You think he's gonna get no money? I was like, yeah, good luck with that, sir. He ain't gonna get nobody donate money for that. Get it from the boosters, man. Get it from the NIL money, But I mean, like I said, we've got to keep the same energy. I mean, honestly, that's what it boils down to. I mean, if we like I said, I keep saying it, if we turn that corner, which looks like we might have a toe around the corner, not the whole leg, not the whole foot. I mean, like, hey, just keep it moving.
Well, I hope they get the rest of it. I hope they get the rest of it around the corner during this bye week. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Georgia does have a bye this coming Saturday. No game this week, which makes me a little sad, but the guys need some time to rest because the stretch is coming, and the stretch, it does not play. This stretch does not play.
And it's actually a good thing we got a bye week because, I mean, it looks like a lot of our guys that were hurt, they're actually on the mend. And, and we did see some that were, playing. So this extra week, maybe give them a little extra time to kind of heal. So maybe we'll see some more people that we haven't seen in a while. So that'd be good.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to keep this thing moving on along, ladies and gentlemen. We have, even though we've rebranded the show this week in UGA football, we still do catch some of the SEC games and the happenings that go on around the conference. And this particular player of the week, I got ahead of myself. Let me play the video first. And this particular player of the week, ladies and gentlemen, does not come from Georgia, doesn't come from Florida, nor does he come from Kentucky. This particular player comes from a state that is a state that just neighbors and backs right on up against Virginia. One half of that city on the border is in Virginia. The other one is in none other than Tennessee. We're talking about the Tennessee Volunteers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This week's player of the week, Jalen Hyatt from the Volunteers. Insane. That kid had listen, Tennessee was on point. The whole squad was on point. You saw Hendon Hooker's stats. Hendon Hooker had another one of those crazy games. And shout out to, by the way, to the OG, the godfather of Let's Talk Football, Sean Spencer, told me last year this is a guy that needed looking out for. Hendon Hooker 21 to 30, 385 yards, 5 touchdowns. He did have one pick, but he had a heck of a game. But you see Jalen Hyatt's stats right there. That is insane. That means he basically was just catching the ball and running away from everybody. Either that or he already had run away from everybody by the time he caught the ball. And he scored He scored 5 TDs out of the 52 points that Tennessee scored. He scored over 50% of them by himself.
Yeah.
They'll let you chew on that for a little bit. Go ahead, sir. What were you gonna say?
No, I was going to say is that I mean, you know, how a lot of people say, teams and their either offense, defense, secondary, what have you, got exposed. I mean, I would say that the Alabama's secondary got exposed because I mean, every time you look at him, he throwing the ball and it was going to Jalen. I mean, he was a good. I mean, I don't think it was maybe 1 or 2 times he was a good 10 yards away from that receiver or that DB or whoever was covering. He was getting separation all day. Like, I mean, he was getting separation. I mean,
Alabama's receivers could not. Alabama's DBs could not see Jalen.
I mean, across the middle, he was on fire.
It didn't matter where he was. It didn't matter where he was. I would be interested to see what his yak was this past Saturday. I didn't bother to look that up, but that's a stat that I'm going to have to start looking up now, since we're calling ourselves podcast hosts.
Yak.
Researching everything. I wonder what it. Yeah, and I don't mean
speaking of yak. Speaking of yak, did you see that offensive lineman throw up and then look at the guy? I don't know who it was. Look it up.
I knew when you asked me. Speaking of yak, I knew that's exactly where you were going because it wasn't like I wasn't expecting you to tell me. That was
straight up gangster though.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting you to tell me that you went hunting up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We went yak hunting. No,
no.
Don't ask me why that's so funny. Those of you that watch the replay and go, that's corny as hell. I know. It's fine. It's me and Collin. This is what we do.
Cornball.
Welcome to this week in UGA football. Yeah, but I really would be interested to see his yak. I mean, he averaged like 34 points some odd per catch. Yeah. And it was insane. I mean, 6 receptions he caught the ball 5 times out of 6. And 5 of those 6 times he scored a touchdown. That's insane.
That ratio alone is crazy. That ratio alone, 5. I mean, 6 catches, only one of those he didn't score. And 207 yards. I mean, you can look at the. I mean, you kind of deduce 207 yards after catch is monumental. I mean, like you could actually kind of do like we don't do math in Georgia, but I'm just saying, looking at that,
Hey, now we do math in Georgia.
Well, I don't math. Put it that way.
How many beers in the case?
Huh?
How many beers in the case?
None. Kickstart. That's why
he said none. You had a good weekend, sir.
I had a good Saturday. So
Wow, that was just Saturday. Is that how many is in the? No, there's none in there. I mean, there's 24, but there's none in that one.
I used to be a 3-can guy, so now I just kind of put it down.
Collin P from the DMV. That's my guy right there. Appreciate you, sir. Yeah. So, but yeah, Jalen Hyatt just that kid's insane. That kid's absolutely insane. And you said they have who next week? UT Martin for homecoming. God have mercy on UT. God have mercy on UT Martin. He might have a 250, 300-yard game.
So yeah, I like to look at the stats. I didn't really look at the stats. I wonder who else. I mean, was that 5 touchdowns and then that's what 35 points they had. What was the
52?
52. So somebody else
scoring 52. He, the other 17 was Hendon scored. Hendon ran for a touchdown. Jabari Small ran for a touchdown, and a field goal. So 2 touchdowns and a field goal.
Well, speaking of that field goal, did you see the replay? I think that lineman got 2 hands on it, and that's why I was knuckleball like that.
Maybe, I don't know. All I know is that the first thing that came to mind when I saw the kick. First thing that came to mind when I saw the kick, that just reminded me of a story to tell you about that. Was remember Rookie of the Year with Ian Michael Thomas? With the kid that broke his arm and then he could throw the 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah.
And his mom told him to float it. That's the first thing I thought about when I saw that kick was like, that was the Ephus kick. And it just.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if you hit it, it looked like if you replay, you kind of see the fingertips of the guy on the line. Like, it might have tipped it and it was going like that. And even still, that was a 47-yard kick. And if somebody, I mean, even being tipped like that, that's a hell of a lot of leg to get it to keep going 47 yards. You know what I'm saying?
I 100% agree. The story behind the final kick, I was watching it on the app. I was sitting right in here in this room. I had the Georgia game on this screen, and I had the Tennessee game on my phone. And something happened. That thing where your screen just decides to shut all the apps off. I'm like, no. By the time I got back, they were running on the field. I was like, well, I guess they won. I hate that I missed it. And then they showed the replay, and I was like, wow.
Another funny thing is if they saw they showed the reverse, they showed the crowd view, from the back of the goalpost there. As soon as the refs did this, you saw them zebra guys, they were gone. They took off, and everybody started jumping the field. I mean, you could see them just.
Oh, because it was time to get out of there, and it was like about the couple of the sheriff's deputies and and coaches' assistants grabbed Nick Saban and hustled him out of there like he was
we got to go
president, like the president. Like, we got to get out of here, Mista. We got to get out of here.
You see the people in that joint. I mean, I told you, like in 2001 when we beat, Tennessee out. I told you, me and a friend of mine went there down to Athens, and same scenario. I jumped on the field like an idiot, and then when you're running, you see all these people running at you. It's scary, dude. I mean, people like just dodging people.
Wow.
And the worst part is when the goalposts are coming down. You're like,
that's why I, the rare occasion when I do go to a sporting event, I'm not rushing the field. I'm just gonna go ahead and be in that 0.5% that's making my good. They're rushing the field. That means I might could get out as long as none of these dummies are parked behind me.
You get out early. You ain't gonna be. You get out. You be one of the first ones out of the stadium or out of the parking lot.
Yeah, for sure. To park 2 miles down the road from the stadium, where I can get out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you good. No, I said exactly. I mean, that's
So, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the final segment of our show. It's a little something where we share a little piece, a little nugget, a little something with you, a little song, a little dance, a little seltzer in your pants. Just to give you something to carry with you through the rest of the week. And that is a segment we call the 2-minute warning. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our 2-minute warning. And again, we want to thank you all for tuning in to this week's edition of This Week in SEC Football. I'm Mr. FIngaz and Collin P. Collin, as always, I'm going to do the handoff to you, let you go first. What do you got for me this week on a 2-minute warning, sir?
Well, I don't like to say for a 2-minute warning. I'm a little bit sad. My Braves actually, they didn't, they got knocked out this weekend. Even though I got, the World Series for last year, had the bifecta. The Dawgs won the national championship and then won the World Series. Great. Like I said, I don't know if I would ever get the trifecta. Got to work on the Falcons, although they're actually doing pretty good. But anyway, that was one thing that hit me. But anyway, at least we got that World Series last year. But that, at least they made it to the playoffs. A little bit sad about that, but we got football to fall back on. But that's pretty much all I got. Everything else has been pretty good, my friend.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me. And I just hope we're not reverting back to where we won like 14 straight divisional titles and then.
Now explain that to me. I find that very, very unorthodox. How do you have 14 points?
I'm just saying it. If you go to the same, if you get to the same level every year at the same time of the year, at some time you should be able to go over the thing. That's like playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare and getting killed at the same spot, at the same time every time you play the game. At some point, you should be trying something different. Boo boo. Yeah. That's all I gotta say.
I would rather them not even get close than get there and then lose. Because that's a lot of energy me wasted for them not to win the whole thing. But
well, there was a whole discussion today about whether or not I think they had a bye week or something like that, or a break at the end of the season, or something close to the end of the season.
No, they were number one in the NLE, so they had a bye week there, or whatever you want to call it, a bye week. And
so that was what the question was: is the bye week did it hurt some of the teams that had the momentum going? Did it slow them down?
Well, I mean, if you look at who's left, like Yankees got knocked out, the Dodgers got knocked out, we got knocked out. So a lot of the 101 win teams, or a lot of the over 100 win teams, have got knocked out already. So
maybe who knows? Who knows? But that wasn't even my 2-minute warning. I was just pulling the Collin and piggybacking on what he said. But my 2-minute warning, my 2-minute warning is I don't know. Be a kid again every now and again. Just be a kid every now and again. Sometimes it's good, we look at our kids like we forget, we become adults and we forget what we were like when we were kids. When we were carefree, and it was the funniest thing in the world to us just to do something simple and to sit around and do it and to just be silly sometimes for no reason at all. Be like, hey mom, look at me, I'm a tree. And your mom goes, yes, you're a very pretty tree, baby. No, mom, look, but I'm a tree in the fall. See, I don't have no leaves. Right. You know what I mean?
I know where you're going.
So just don't forget to be a kid every now and again. Like, I'm not saying go full reversion and go, walking around downtown. Well, never mind that. Maybe that's not a good analogy. I was getting ready to say don't go walking around Times Square in a diaper, but that's some stuff you're prone to see in New York City. So, but you get what I'm saying. Just don't forget to be a little kid sometimes, because man, I tell you what, having a kid like Joy, when you watch a kid when they're really happy, there's nothing in the world that can slow their shine. No. Nothing, except another kid maybe doing something. He took my ball. That's not your ball, but I wanted it. But
exactly.
Just don't forget to be a kid. Don't forget to enjoy your life and be a kid. And that's all I got for my 2-minute warning. I know that sounds a little craptastic for my 2-minute warning. I normally have something.
Not at all, dude. I agree with you totally. Be a kid, but the only thing that gets me when you get older, I mean, you're too busy adulting, and you got priorities, and you got things you got to take care of, that kind of stuff. But
I can
say for me personally, when I hang out with the man, he keeps me young, But the only thing with him was like he wants to do the Legos and do that stuff, and he said, "Daddy, get on the floor with me." I was like, "Son, if I get down there,
if I get down there, I am not getting back up at all."
And he want to do a puzzle on the floor. I was like, "Can we get on the kitchen table? Can we get on the dining room table? Can I, I don't have to lay on the floor." But he does keep it, keeps it moving, keeps it interesting. So I mean be silly sometimes. You can't be serious all the time. I agree with you totally. I mean,
100%, my friend, 100%. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for us this week, man. On this week's edition of This Week in UGA Football. So, Collin, what you got going on? Anything special you got going on this week during the bye week?
Not really. I mean, I got my son this week. I got the B-Man this weekend. So, the bye week actually came out at the right time because Black Adam comes out this weekend. So I'm going to go take him to go see that Friday, I believe, Friday or Saturday.
That looks like that's going to be really good.
Yeah, with the Rock. I want to see how he does on that. But yeah, he was quick to tell me. I thought Black Adam was like a good guy. He said no, he's Shazam's nemesis or something like that.
Shazam's evil twin, pretty
Yeah.
the best
So he had to school me on
layman
that a little
terms
bit.
to put it in. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's constantly correcting me on that kind of stuff, which is good because I don't, pretty bad at that kind of stuff.
Hey, kids are good for that,
For sure. But yeah, other than that, we got pretty. I haven't checked the weather, but I'll be with him, so they don't tell him what we're gonna do. We might do some, get out the house, play video games, whatever. It's gonna be a kind of a lazy weekend.
Ain't no telling. I might. Nah, it depends on who's playing this week. Depends on who's playing this weekend. I might check a couple games out, but Georgia's not playing, so God, this would be a perfect opportunity to have a couple dollars go down to Norman. I might look and see who's playing in Norman this weekend. Are they playing in Norman this weekend?
I was gonna say, based off your earlier what you did this weekend, you're gonna cook, you're gonna take a nap, you're gonna possibly work.
Yeah. Nah, they got a bye week this week, and then the following week they play Iowa State. So let's see.
Okay.
Maybe I'll go down the road to see if Langston's got something.
Well, how about that though? How about the shellacking they took? Goodness gracious.
Oh,
Oklahoma.
Oh, Oklahoma won this week. They beat they beat Kansas.
Did it? Oh man, I was thinking last week. Okay.
Yeah, nah, that was last week when they got handed.
Oh, that's what I meant to say. Yeah, how they bounced back. I'm sorry, I meant to say bounce back.
Yeah, that was a hell of a bounce back. Let's see, look and see what's going on. Oh man.
And another thing that I don't know, I was just wondering about Brian Harson's still around, right? Even after the loss this weekend, you think?
Yes.
You think
How much dude still have a job?
I mean, I guess they're gonna let him right out the season.
But that's not smart, though. I'm gonna tell you why that's not smart. Unless they have somebody in mind that's going to be free, unless they have a plan in mind and they know for sure somebody's going to be free at the time they fire Brian Harsin, that's not smart. Because if you ride out the whole season and then you fire him, all of the coaches that might be available, well, you never can tell. It might be a coach somewhere at the end of the season, a good coach, an actual good coach.
Not only that, what about the players? Like, how many players you gonna think gonna jump ship? You know what I mean? Like the transfer portal at the end of the year.
Right.
So,
oh, look, it's the end of the show. And it looks like we got a comment here, and I must have missed it.
I think Fisher.
Listen here, Nathan Snell. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna do the same thing to you that Mr. Nicholas, the dude that talk about the smoke all the time that he did to me. I'm gonna tell you something. Don't come on here with this foolishness. I thought me and you had an understanding. Me and you get along great. We talk all the time. Me and you. That.
Hey, my grandmother had a bird that cussed at you, man. So.
Oh my gosh, man! What? Oh, look, he just popped in too. He just popped in. That's the day. No, Nate, you've been on point with your roast lately, brother. I'm loving it. Keep them coming.
Absolutely.
Keep them coming. Yeah. So I don't really have anything great going on. I don't have anything big going on this weekend either. No big plans, but it looks like Langston might be playing somebody. Langston might have a home game this week. I might go check them out. I might go check them out. That's like 30 minutes down the road. It's just, I think it's a little northeast of OSU, Oklahoma State. So I might go check that out. Or, you know what? Let me see what Oklahoma State's schedule is looking like. I might go out there and check something out. Let's see.
Oh, there's something I want to ask you your opinion on. So, all right, so we were like the top 25, the shakeup, like what we got. So we got Georgia 1, Ohio State, I guess it's 2, and then what? Michigan's 3, I guess. Is that correct? I'm not sure who's 4, but Bama moved to 6. What do you think about that?
What do I think they're doing with that? I think they put Bama low enough in week 7 to give them an opportunity to regroup and come back and kick the snot out of everybody because they play Mississippi State next week at Bryant-Denny.
Yeah.
And then they have a bye week. They have a bye week the week of the cocktail party. I'm gonna get to your question in a minute, Nate. And then they play LSU. Then they play Ole Miss. Then they play Austin Peay. And then they play Auburn. They close it out with the Iron Bowl. I can
kind of guess. I can kind of guess what Nate's going to say. I understand that these top 25 is garbage, but go ahead. Sorry, right now.
But what are my thoughts? I think that may be the AP's move to try and put Alabama in a spot that they can maybe roll back in. It's going to go one of two ways. They either set them there so they can roll back in because somebody in the top four, hopefully not us, somebody in the top four is going to drop one between now and the end of November. Somebody is. And who's number 5 ahead of Bama?
I don't even know.
Anyway, they set it up so that Bama will either be on the outside looking in if everybody runs the table, or that Bama can slide back in the top 4 before the end of the season if somebody drops.
Yeah, Clemson's 5. Clemson's number 5.
Clemson's 5. I don't see Clemson dropping. Has Clemson played Syracuse? No, Clemson can't have played
Syracuse. They play Syracuse this week or next weekend. This week.
So that may wind up settling that debate right there because Clemson and Syracuse are the only 2 unbeatens left in the ACC, I think. So that's where I stand on that. But yeah, I don't know. It's Thanksgiving or Christmas. Well, Thanksgiving, honestly, Nathan. Yeah, well, it'll definitely change by Christmas because that's when the conference playoffs are because everybody will be done playing by Thanksgiving weekend. Everybody will be done playing by Thanksgiving weekend because our last game is we typically play Georgia Tech on Thanksgiving weekend. That Saturday. So I don't know. We'll see. As many upsets as we've had, but I don't know. You know what? Alabama has had a tremendous run, an absolutely tremendous run. And I think this is the lowest they've been ranked. I
think you're right.
In about 12, 13 years. I don't think they've ever been outside of the top 4 since they won that first championship under Nick.
I believe I read something or saw a headline or something that the first time they've been out of the top 5. So maybe the top 4, but they said outside of the top 5. I think since Saban's first year, I guess, because they had a tough go with his first year, I guess it was.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was on. So I mean, after that,
he bought the door. Well, dude, honestly, I can tell you what the AP is thinking. We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. Dion and Ray Jr. Are you talking about Eddie Robinson Jr.? The you ain't swack the whole you ain't swacking the handshake deal. There's a couple of things I gotta say about that. Number one, Dion has never hidden how he's felt about things. And I think that is one of his greatest characteristic traits, but that's also one of his big downfalls as well, is that sometimes he doesn't just know when to go, you know what? We came out for the handshake. I went in for the bro hug. He wasn't feeling it, and I might have, I gave him I tried to give him a little bit of a shove. You know what? I was in my feelings too. So, I just have to take that for what that is. No disrespect meant to Coach Robinson or nothing, blah, blah, blah. But Dion is always going to say what's on his mind.
But there was a lot of things. There was a lot of things before that.
The folks his players was cussing at me and blah, blah, being disrespectful. Nah, man, this ain't about what happened to you. This is about what happened at midfield. You went to get the man a hug. He wasn't having it. And you got salty. So just go, well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But that's not Dion. Dion has never been that dude, and Dion, I don't think is ever going to be that dude. So that's what I think.
There was some things that happened beforehand. I mean, like evidently they were late to the game, and they was from what Dion said, right? So so they were late to the game or whatever. They didn't really have time to do a walkthrough or whatever. So that's why Dion didn't go to coach before the game. And that was the reason of the shove off from Ray Jr., because he didn't, speak to him before the game. So, I mean, it's all stuff we probably don't know. I mean, it's just all a bunch of,
you know what?
Not enough about nothing.
Listen, I heard all of that. I'm not trying to cut you off. I heard all of that. I listened to the press conferences. At the end of the day, this is 2 grown men. You are two
Sure.
grown men. You are two grown men who have young men who are looking up to you as examples of how to carry yourself. And if
Yeah.
you, as their leader, decide to get confrontational, be like, I know this sucker ain't come over here and not shake my hand. And then Dion is like, well, you know, their players was saying mean things to me. And so I was already kind of feeling some kind of way when I went, but I was like, I'm gonna put it aside. Like, none of that need to be put in there. All that need to happen is you can't stand each other. I see coaches that can't stand each other. Meet in the middle of the field, give a little handshake, maybe they, you know, pat on the arm or whatever, and then they go their separate ways. Yeah, I've seen fist bumps. You grown men. You got 50-something young men looking at you on the sidelines. You got a stadium full of people looking at you from the stands. And as you go, so they go. Especially drunk fans, they be like, yeah, man, Dion don't take no mess. We know that. Yeah, man. Coach Robinson don't take no mess. Set an example. You keep talking about setting an example out there, Dion. Dion, you still my ace vein, you know what I'm saying? Still my number one Falcons player on the roster. Still my number one Falcons player of all time. This one, and look, I ain't nobody. I'm just a guy that got a 9-to-5, a 9-to-5 and a family that happens to do a podcast. I think you should have probably fell back on that one, Coach. You just should have been like, you know what, he wasn't feeling it. You know, I went in for the bro hug. He wasn't feeling it. And, you know, I'm sorry if I put him in that spot, make him feel that way. And, you know, maybe he and I could talk offline and maybe we could squash beef. And I'd welcome that if that's what it comes down to. Boom.
Yeah. There's underlying stuff, man. You know what it is.
Because now there's all this clap back. He making it. I ain't swag video and stop. Sometimes you just gotta stop. That's just me. Anyway, I done talked 11 minutes past the end of the show. So we're going to try this again. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week in UGA football. We will be back. We're only going to do one show this week because we're on a bye this week. We're going to be back on a 2-show schedule next week, Collin, and that's if you're available, because we will have a guest next week from the University of Florida. University of Georgia. It's 2 people here from University of Georgia. We'll have somebody joining us from University of Florida next week to come in and talk about the world's largest outdoor cocktail party that's going to be taking place down in that state where all those gators and stuff live. So on behalf of myself, I am Mr. Fingaz, and that guy right there is Collin P, and we will see you next week. Go Dogs.
And go Dogs.
Yeah. Let's go. Go Dogs.